Borderlands the pre-sequel takes place between the events of Borderlands 1 and 2, which essentially makes it Borderlands 1.5. The story follows Jack, arguably one of the best villains in all of gaming, on his rise to power. And if there's one thing Jack hates more than Vault Hunters, it's annoying little robots.
Things are about to get awesome! High five!
So for this playthrough, I'm stepping into the role of Fragtrap, better known as Claptrap. But this isn't just any playthrough. I've added some rules to make it fully RNG based. My action skill, it's random every time. My weapons, only whatever the slot machines give me. That means no shields, no Oz kits, and no class mods. Just Fragtrap, chaotic Vault Hunter abilities, one very angry Jack, and a whole lot of rubber duckies. Will I be able to help Jack rise to power, or will my idiotic ways be too much for him to overcome? Let's find out in this episode of Can You Beat It? This will be one small step for games, and one giant leap in suffering. At the very start, I meet a fellow bot and drop all of my weapons, because RNG is my new religion. He leads me toward Jack, but before we can get there, some Lost Legion Marines show up. As the more skilled Claptrap, I had no choice but to clap them. When the next door opens, my brother meets his tragic end, so I avenge him and try CPR, but this nap looks permanent. Definitely gonna need to blur that. Claptraps get a little too excited about death. Inside the next room, I meet Jack, surrounded by Marines. Here, I could have let him die to prevent the Borderlands 2 disaster, but I choose to save him so we could all have the best game in the franchise. You're welcome. Helping him out bumps me to level 2, and he gives me a shield, which I toss since it wasn't RNG. Then, 2 Hyperion turrets pop out of nowhere, so I have to jump and punch them down because Jack isn't CEO material. On the way to the escape ships, Zarpedon blows them up, forcing us to find another route. More Marines meet my fist, bringing me to level 3, which unlocks my action skill, vaulthunter.exe. It scans the situation and spits out a random Vault Hunter ability. Some good, some not so much. I get to test it out right away against my first boss, Flame Knuckle. My role is Mecro Magician. I summon a mini-bot like Gauges to fight alongside me, but lose accuracy and mag size in the exchange for more damage. The fight becomes simple enough. Just circle him like a shark and punch him down. Eventually he falls, but the elevator's jammed, so I decapitate a robot to fix it. Jack decides to celebrate by doing the running man instead of getting on the elevator to meet me at the top. We both take time to prep the moonshot cannon and then get surrounded by enemies. He stays behind and fires me straight into space. I wake up on the moon with Janie Springs teaching me about oxygen. Pointless for a bot like me. Still, she sends me to grab an Oz kit. Along the way, I kill some moon skags and wait for Janie to waddle into the right dialogue spot. I take off the Oz kit, head out, and activate Rubber Ducky. Now I'm bouncing uncontrollably, deflecting all bullets, though explosives can still ruin my day. A few Kragans later, I hit Regolith Range, home of the Jump Pad fan club, led by Deadlift. On the way to the boss, I level up and put a point into safety first, making the run even more RNG heavy. It gives me a random subroutine that buffs health or shields while nerfing weapon damage. While punching through space scavs, I activate my action skill to get Blightbot, a little drone that flies around burning and corroding enemies. By the time I reach the top, I've gone full psycho with Meat Unicycle, slashing around like a bandit. Then I turn into a literal battery to power the jump pad up to the boss's arena. The Deadlift fight is rough because he runs non-stop, electrifies the floor, and I have no guns. It's looking grim, so I hide, wait for my action skill, then roll 0 invisibility, which helps me set him up for a beating. Deadlift? More like Dwayne Johnson, because I've just hit rock bottom. Beating him pushes me up to level 5, unlocking even more RNG. Now my weapons rotate random buffs and nerfs. One type up, all others down. With Deadlift dusted, I grab the key, take it to the Moonzoomy station, and score my first ride. No Borderlands playthrough is quite complete without an initiation jump, but I forget how to boost. Back at Janie's, she gives me an Orbitron to sneak into Concordia. The sheriff there is another Claptrap brother, but with more tickets. So if you hate speeding fines, please raise your right foot. The orb gets me inside, where I meet Nina, the town doctor. She tells me to stand still for a decon, but I eventually move because it feels endless. She then gives me drugs, and suddenly I'm seeing visions of Vault Hunters, including one whom I remember seeing die. Next stop is Moxie's bar, and lucky for me, I'm so short she can't say eyes up here, because I'm already looking up. I play a few slots and finally score my first guns, 5 of them to be exact, including a green sniper, and I know I'm about to wear it out. But before that, the comms are still jammed, so I grab Moonstones off Robocop and trade them to Crazy Earl for transmitters. Climbing to the top of the city, I set them up, reconnect with Jack, and get locked into Concordia by the Marif because his secret got out. So I have to take the back way through Moxie's bar, where her new outfit can make a cowboy really happy. Could even call him a Jolly Rancher. On the way to Crisis Scar, Zarpedon shows she's figured out how to use the giant space laser, shaking the entire moon. The path forward is guarded by another Claptrap who has gone full scav. He won't let me through unless I take out 20 Darksiders and collect the 3 prisms they're guarding. Completing that task leads me to a secret entrance where I am immediately jumped by bugs. Luckily, I RNG pull a fancy fly swatter to deal with the situation. What do you call a bee that can't make up its mind? A maybe. Eventually, I reach Crisis Scar, where the real challenge hits, jumping across lava without an Oz kit. Those kits don't just give oxygen, they're also used to boost a jump further and higher. I tried a bunch of overcomplicated methods before realizing all I had to do was shoot the frost plants, slowing me down on the side and jump at an angle. After clearing out the gate guards and turrets, I bounce my way into Red Belly's camp. More scavs test their luck, but it doesn't go well for them. Then I reach the arena, and learn Red Belly is just 2 guys stacked on top of each other in trash can armor. It's intimidating at first, until they make a fatal mistake of splitting up. Then it's just shooting fish in a really tiny barrel. I head up to turn off the signal, but the console's busted. Luckily, the roof has another one. The problem is, I need to destroy 3 relays guarded by scavs, turrets, and helicopters. Doesn't matter, the job gets done. Back in Concordia, Jack and I use the Claptrap's pea-sized brain to trick him into giving us access to the Mayor's office. Hey look, donuts. For some reason, Mayor's got scavs working for him, but they're no match for my commando turret. The initial plan was to just have a friendly chat, but the Mayor decides to pull a gun. That's the moment Jack learns just how fun taking a life can be. His first step down the villainous path. Before continuing the main story, I take a side quest to destroy a scav buggy for parts, and along the way I level up and unlock Rope-a-Derp, which adds a melee subroutine. More melee damage, less gun damage. So I then clear out the rest of the low-level scavs and get to the second grinder machine. It's too tough to punch, so I kill Rooster Booster, steal his dynamite, and blow it up. That gets me the last part to fix Concordia's grinder. I decided to add this into the RNG run. You feed the machine 3 weapons of the same rarity and get a random one back. I can only use guns from the slot machines, not pickups. I gamble away all my cash and grind the rest, ending up with 2 greens and 1 blue. To move forward, I need a Stingray hovercraft. The garage code is one that has been seen on millions of calculators, and once inside the garage, I simply just order one up. With the new ride, I head toward Outlands Canyon. But along the way, I test out my new flame pistol, and it works well, but I keep going back to my trusty sniper. Next, I meet Pickle, a kid who somehow has the master plan for getting an artificial intelligence on our side, because taking orders from children always works out. Step 1 of his plan, cross the bridge to Drakensburg. Too bad it's drawn in. Step 2, kill all the scavs, override the controls, and bring it back, only for it to get blown up. Step 3, dump methane into the lava to freeze it. One problem, no methane. But don't worry, Pickle's got backup plans for his backup plans. So I fight my way towards the pumping station and forget how to jump. This becomes one of the more frustrating places because it's more heavily guarded than the White House, and every time I die, I respawn miles back, having to sprint marathons just to try again. Somehow, I end up getting the flow started, only to spend the next 10 minutes trying to redirect it. After many respawns and a full-on rage quit, I finally managed to dump the methane, freeze the lava, and cross the icy path, topping it off with an incredible grenade jump straight towards Pity's Fall. This place is home to the Drakensburg, a massive ship holding the AI Jack needs to build his robot army. The captain, the bosun, does everything possible to keep us from reaching the core. But then a random woman, the skipper, cuts in to help. It turns out the bosun is basically the Joffrey of leaders, so she wants to help us take him down. With her guidance, I work my way through the galleon of a vessel, mowing down scavs left and right. The plan is to set the engines to max, blow the regulator, and then wreck the power stabilizer to throw the whole ship into chaos. On the way to the force field controls, I'm stopped by a scav named Poopdeck, who is immediately squashed by the skipper before he can even talk tough. After that, I get some target practice on more scavs before deactivating the force field blocking the path to the bosun. The fight with him is rough at first. The trick though is to destroy his shield regenerators and use his minions for second wins. Once the shield's gone, it's a game of dealing damage, ducking for cover, and slowly chipping away at his health until he drops. Inside the AI hub, the big twist is revealed. The skipper was the AI all along. We scoop her up onto a fancy flash drive and head back to Concordia. Now it's gambling time. I score a purple corrosive shotgun that instantly becomes my go-to weapon. With the gun in hand, Jack sends me straight to the train station to get the robot army assembly line rolling. While waiting for the train, I test out my new shotgun and submachine gun, shredding waves of creatures with ease. The train delivers us straight to the production plant, but is completely overrun with torques. Honestly, not a bad problem. They're easy kills and decent XP. This also reminds me of my exterminator days, and a customer told me they had been seeing a bunch of ants. I then replied, "Where are the uncles?" Anyway, after blasting through the bugs, I install Felicity into a nearby computer so she can hack the turrets and help me with the infestation. We survive the storm, bounce across a few jump pads that would make Deadlift proud, and fight our way deeper into the plant. Eventually, I reach the command center, where a man named Gladstone has locked himself in. After clearing out the scavs, he lets us in and brags nonstop about his accomplishments. Oh, and the fact that he designed a robot that can build more robots. How convenient. On my way to the plant, I hit level 14 and unlocked Triple Clocked, which multiplies all subroutine bonuses and penalties by 3. I then activate my skill and roll One Shot Wonder, a skill that dumps the entire magazine in a single trigger pool for massive damage. Luckily for me, I unlocked it just before this fight and got to unload mag after mag straight into the mechs blocking the path to the plant. Step 1 in building Jack's robot army is to clear out all the scavs squatting in the plant. The last one tries to play hide and seek, but this is Borderlands. Similar to Squid Game, if you get found, you die. Before I can power things up, a window opens, revealing more scavs. One decides to drain the lizard right in front of me. If he paid a prostitute, I guess that would be a microtransaction. So I have to blow up a cryo barrel and end his disrespect. Once the power is restored, I summon 4 security bots and collect their eyes. Those eyes get infused into one massive eyeball, and of course, Claptrap is way too into it.
Yeah! Science, bitch!
When the cage finally opens, I realize what we've been building this entire time. The hated constructor bot. I load it onto the crane and follow it down the line. The first test is to attach turrets and let them score the kills. During the process, I go fun Zerker and snag a few for myself for the XP boost. With the turrets in place, I hit level 15 and unlock Element of Surprise, which adds elemental subroutines. Whichever element RNG picks gets a buff, while all the others get nerfed. The randomness keeps piling up. I install Felicity into the bot and escort her further down the line, wiping out scav after scav along the way. After turning on the rail system, the constructor is finally finished. All that's left is to install Felicity one last time and wipe all of her memories. She's not a fan of this idea, so we throw down. With my corrosive shotgun and a well-timed funzerker, the fight doesn't last long, but she makes sure to take me with her. With Jack's robot army completed, we head back to Concordia, hit the casino for new gear, and regroup to launch an assault on the Eye of Helios. However, thanks to budget cuts, the fast travel system has to split us up. Fighting the Lost Legion Marines solo is miserable, so I take out the ones I have to and sprint past the rest. Of course, another force field blocks the way, so it's back to Jack's office. To get in, I have to call on another blue brother, and with his elite door-opening skills, I defend him through 2 waves of enemies before he electrocutes himself, finally unlocking the door. While walking with Jack to his desk, some scientists ask for help, so naturally I'm the one sent off to do the dirty work. And why are these scientists always reading books about helium? Because they just can't put it down. My first task is to clear a torque infestation so Gladstone will let us in. Before saving the 3 scientists though, I take a quick detour to gamble and grind my loot, because I'm starting to fall behind in levels and every scrap of extra damage is going to matter. Back at the research and development lab, I meet the first scientist, Langui. He won't let me in until I fetch a photo of him and his son from a nearby lab. Stalkers swarm the area, but I cure their invisibility by sending them straight to the ICU. With the photo recovered, Langui finally joins our cause. The second scientist, though, way more annoying. He needs his beloved teddy bear back from an aquarium. To drain the tank, I have to charge through a horde of Marines who are a bit above my level. After clearing the gauntlet and draining the water, I grab the bear, only to find out it's a torque trap. Joke's on them, though, because I'm basically a professional exterminator at this point. That makes another scientist recruited. The third and final one is a little clumsy. He dropped his keycard, which got eaten by a giant stalker. Surprisingly, this ends up being the easiest task. I clear out all the small ones, drop the mini-boss, grab the keycard, and he rewards me with a cloaking device for Jack. And Jack loves it. He loves it so much, in fact, that he floats all 4 doctors into space, claiming one of them is a traitor. Before heading into the veins of Helios, I take a detour to help a fellow robot. The mission is to capture his runaway Roombas. To lure them out, though, I have to create messes across the city. Tip over a trash can, bust a water pipe, shoot some oil barrels. Once all 3 are collected, the robot declares all-out war on germs. Moving on, I dive into the tunnel system, which immediately turns into Borderlands meets The Walking Dead. The infected are a little too tough for me, so I run past them. This is where the map really opens up, but thanks to dumb luck and an endless supply of jump pads, I actually land where I need to be, central maintenance. The Lost Legions start dropping like flies as I push through to the bridge, just in time to watch it explode. That's the second bridge that's gone down in this run. Next, I need to destroy 3 regulators on Plasma Booster A, then 3 on Booster B. At this point, I'm severely underleveled, so I brute force it, suiciding myself just to get 1 regulator at a time. It's extremely painful, but it works. After destroying the boosters, I get to a safe distance, trigger the detonation, and blast open a hole straight into the lunar launch station. And Jack just gets to fast travel right in, per usual. Seriously, why do I have to do all the work? The next main mission is level 24, and the game straight up labels it impossible for me. So, if you're a One Piece fan, this is where the filler arc begins. I'm stuck grinding side missions until I catch up. If you're not here for the filler, you can skip ahead using the timestamps below. And hey, while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe. It makes Claptrap dance. Before tackling the side missions, I hit the slots for some upgrades, then head back to the hub of heroism to clear out every quest I can. First up, Hothead, where I track down a guy named Dean and cool him off before he bursts into flames from anger. Then comes Urgent Message. I take out some guards, break Nakayama out of jail, and defend him while he broadcasts something important. That leads into Paint Job, where I literally just pick up a paint can and hand it to a blue Claptrap, who immediately creates a masterpiece outside of Jack's office. From there, it's flower pickup, except the flowers are apparently a hazard, so I torch them as soon as I place them. Next is Handsome AI, which is basically me sitting around feeding Jack questions so he can create the Borderlands version of ChatGPT. After that, I drop into a trash compactor to kill Meg, who's rocking a sweet wig and hat. Then comes Boarding Party, where I collect 4 echo logs that give some solid backstory for the playable characters. Easily one of the better bits of world building here. After that, voiceover has me slaughtering Lost Legion soldiers for no reason, other than to gather stacks of books. The books then get scanned, so some lady can practice her voice acting, which seems totally worth it. With the hub cleared, I head back to research and development for their batch of quests. One scientist I help get some fresh air. Another has me launch 3 rockets loaded with brains, because apparently it's not rocket science anymore, it's rocket surgery. Then I settle a sibling rivalry that ends with the mean brother getting fried, while the other just dances, like his life wasn't just in a 50-50 toss-up. Next, I'm tasked with finding the secret lab 19. I piece together clues and input a code, but the timer on it is insanely short, so I have to do it a couple times. Inside the lab, I discover a miniature version of the Destroyer. At least this one's easier to take down. Finally, I swing by the mayor's office to destroy a few of his echo logs, erasing his existence once and for all. Except, Jack decides to keep one, chops it into a sick beat, and uses it to make fun of the guy post-mortem, while also launching the statue of his head into space for good measure. At this point, I'm laser focused on hitting level 22, so I start with Red Then Dead, a quick quest where I hunt down mailmen for their echo logs. It's easy XP, but not quite enough to push me over the edge, so I take on things that go boom. An escort mission where I babysit a loader while it downloads a new AI. Naturally, instead of me protecting it, the loader should be protecting me, because I end up failing this mission a few times before realizing the actual strategy. Hide like a coward until it finishes. I test drive 3 suicide bots, hit level 22, and I'm finally where I need to be. With the grind behind me, it's time to gamble away all my cash for some upgrades before diving into the main story of shutting down the laser. On the way, I slam face first into yet another force field, but this time I team up with Moxie to find the power source. The trick is simple. Shoot the glowing blue cores at 3 locations. Each core lights up faster than the last, but as the professional marksman I am, I nail every one. Then comes a defense segment where I hold off wave after wave of Lost Legion Marines, while the system shuts down. Once the field drops, Jack and I head inside. That's where I finally meet Zarbadon. At first she's piloting a mech, and the fight's almost laughably easy. Too easy it seems. Sure enough, she ejects and the real fight begins. This is where things get messy. I for some odd reason swapped to an electric sniper instead of sticking to my tried and true corrosive laser, and it cost me a few attempts. Eventually I wise up, melt her health bar, and take her down. Right on cue, Jack strolls in to claim all the credit. Together we move to shut down the laser, only to discover it's powered by none other than the Eye of the Destroyer. And I love jokes about eyes, and the cornea, the better. And then comes the betrayal. Moxie, Lilith, and Roland plotted to double-cross Jack and I, blowing up the eye before it could be shut down. It's the kind of double-cross that nearly gets us both killed. Luckily, Jack's intuition said to go back to his office and handle it remotely. After a brief meltdown on his part, the writing's on the wall. This is the beginning of the end of Somewhat Nice Jack. Next, I have to breach the excavation site. I first have to wipe out a squadron of Marines and blow up 2 turrets standing in my way. Once inside, I'm greeted by the Guardians, the so-called protectors of the vault. They're not exactly pushovers, but compared to Borderlands 1, their XP payout feels like finding a penny on the sidewalk. Technically a gain, but not worth celebrating. At the pumping station, Jack shows just how far gone he is. He doesn't want me to spare a surrendering Marine. He wants me to execute him instead. No loot, no XP, just cold-blooded murder. That's when it really clicks. This guy is starting to spiral. Then comes the RK5 boss fight. The fight itself is pretty straightforward, but the real threat is the swarm of Guardians constantly dragging me into fight for your life. Luckily, second wins are my specialty, and after running them around like a pro, I drop RK5 on my first attempt. Inside Tycho's ribs, the game throws everything at me, and I hit the floor more times than I'd like to admit. So I pivot to a side objective, escorting a few robots. In theory, I'm their protector, but in practice, they're just waiting for me to run back to them every time I perish. In the end, they just ditch me and run off with the reward. So I reward myself the only way I know how, gambling. Spoiler alert, the new gear still sucks. and I end up crawling back to my trusty corrosive laser, the real MVP of this run so far. Hoping for a break, I wander into what feels like Mario's world. Bad idea. I wasn't invited to the party, but Toad was. Guess he's a real fun guy. Still, there's no running through this gauntlet. I have to grind it out, clearing out enemy after enemy the old-fashioned way instead of jogging right by. The next part has me take out a turret operator, then climb up to blast the shield generator. Problem is, I'm slower than Jack's grandma with a bad knee, so the shield reboots before I run through. The second attempt goes much better. I shoot it, sprint like hell, and finally make it past. Then RNG hands me a gift of invisibility. I slip right past the Guardians and head straight for the vault chamber. That's where the real farming opportunity reveals itself. There are 3 turrets that respawn over and over until one specific Guardian is killed. Naturally, I ignore the Guardian and farm turrets for 30 minutes straight, dying, respawning, and slowly stacking XP until I hit level 25. And the payoff is rainbow coolant. Now every time I initiate a new subroutine, a rainbow explodes out of me, dealing all elemental damage at once. Oh, and I also unlocked a brand new action package, Laser Inferno. It summons a disco ball that blasts lasers in every direction and drops a sick beat. Hands down, the most stylish upgrade I've gotten all run. I carve my way through mountains of Guardians until I hit my next roadblock, the Alpha Superior. This oversized babysitter just keeps tossing out baby Guardians like candy on Halloween. The fight is brutal, not just because of it, but because he's backed up by 3 turrets and an infinite parade of minions who apparently didn't get the memo about personal space. After a few failed attempts, I smartened up and baited the mini-boss into a doorway, used line of sight, and slowly chipped away at its HP until it finally collapsed. With the path cleared, I climbed to the top and stepped into the vault itself, only to be greeted by the Sentinel, the game's final boss. The fight drags on for about 20 minutes, cycling through multiple phases, shields, and more shields. It's a grind. And here's the biggest problem. My gear just isn't cutting it. What I really need is a strong electric weapon to melt those shields, but RNG hasn't been kind. After a couple of frustrating wipes, I accept reality. The Sentinel isn't the problem. My loadout is, so I back out, swallow my pride, and head off to farm XP and gear until I hit level 26. Sometimes the smartest play isn't pushing forward. It's taking a step back to get more RNG rolls. So I start farming cash the old-fashioned way, and I'm not talking a 9 to 5. I'm talking quitting and reloading the game after looting the 2 chests on this platform until I've got enough money to feed the addiction. With my pockets full, I blow it all on the slot machines, praying RNG will finally throw me a bone. No luck. My wallet's empty, my odds are shot, and it looks like the run's doomed. But then there's the grinder, my last resort. I feed it the final 3 weapons I've got, and against all odds, it spits out a purple pistol with shock damage. The perfect weapon for the fight ahead. Hope is back on the table. I return to the vault and put that pistol to work, shredding through all 3 shield phases of the Sentinel's smaller form until its health bar is finally exposed. And it doesn't last long. Just when I think it's all over, the ground starts rumbling and a massive hand erupts from the floor. The Sentinel pulls an Ant-Man and supersizes itself for round 2, or maybe round 4. Can't keep up with all these phases. Phase 2 is just like before, but you gotta take care of the shields and health bar. My new purple pistol melts through both of them without a sweat. The next phase swaps to shock, so the pistol drops off hard. I switch back to my trusty corrosive laser and it gets the job done. The final phase is corrosive, which means the pistol is back in business, frying the boss one last time. The Sentinel falls, the vault opens, and Jack does what Jack always does, ruins the moment. He touches the real-life vault symbol, triggering visions of all the events that happened in Borderlands 2. Then the Firehawk shows up, steals the spotlight, and brands Jack with a new scar that cements his iconic name, Handsome Jack. With the mission turned in, the game is officially complete, which means one thing. It is possible to beat Borderlands the pre-sequel using nothing but RNG. If you enjoyed this run, I've got 2 more Borderlands challenges waiting for you, both done with only vending machine gear. Thanks for watching, and as always, take it easy.